Hi guys, welcome to Learning with Miss Roseberry. This is one of my favorite new books that I've read recently. It is called The Tree Lady. And I like the art on the front cover where you're kind of looking down at her. But I'm going to take it off because that's annoying when you read. Just what I do with most book covers. But this is kind of cool too. It's a portrait of her. This is the Tree Lady. And this is drawings, but it's based on a real person, as you will find out. Oh, you like her necklace? That's something I would have done. The Tree Lady, the true story of how one tree-loving woman changed a city forever. It's by H. Joseph Hopkins, illustrated by Jill McElmurray. And I love these pictures. Katherine Olivia Sessions grew up in the woods of Northern California. She gathered wood from oaks and elms. She collected needles from pines and redwoods, and she braided them together with flowers to make necklaces and bracelets. It was the 1860s, and girls from Kate's side of town weren't supposed to get their hands dirty, but Kate did. We played with mud pies a lot outside too. Kate listened well in school. She learned how to write and count. She remembered the poems and stories she read, but best of all, she liked studying wind and rain, muscles and bones, plants and trees, especially trees. Most girls were discouraged from studying science, but not Kate. So there she is. You can tell it's back in the past because of the desk and the clothes they're wearing. There's Kate in the front row paying attention. Oh, here's the picture from the front that I like. Kate felt the trees were her friends. She loved the way they reached toward the sky and how their branches stretched wide to catch the light. Trees seemed to Kate like giant umbrellas that sheltered her and the animals, birds and plants that lived in the forest. Not everyone feels at home in the woods, but Kate did. When Kate grew up, she left home to study science. At college, she looked at soil and insects through a microscope. She learned how plants made food and how they drank water, and she studied trees from around the world. No woman had ever graduated from the University of California with a degree in science, but in 1881, Kate did. Look at that. She studied hard, and she studied something she liked, so that made it easier. After graduation, Kate took a job in Southern California. When her boat docked in San Diego, she saw that her new home was a desert town. Kate never thought she would live in a place with very few trees, but now she did. And if you look up San Diego, this is called foreshadow because San Diego does not look like this now. I've been there. It does not look like a desert. Kate began her job as a teacher. She was also the vice principal of the school, so she had to make sure that everyone followed the rules. Kate missed studying science and was not sure she would stay on the job, but for 2 years she did. Look at her principal face. Don't fight. No hitting. From her school, Kate could see City Park in the hills above town. It was called a park, but it didn't look like one. It was where people grazed cattle and dumped garbage. Most San Diegans didn't think trees could ever grow there, but Kate did. So look, that's the City Park. Does that look like a fun place to hang out? No, it does not. With Kate's love for the woods, she thought San Diego needed trees more than anything else. So she left teaching to become a gardener. She knew she must plant trees that could live in dry soil with lots and lots of sunshine. Her friends worried Kate wouldn't find trees like that, but she did. This was the part my students liked, when we learned about the different kinds of trees that live in different places. Oh, this is the page they really liked. So I'm going to show you that. Especially, we liked the quiver tree and the naked coral tree. They thought that was funny because it does. See how the branches look white and then it's got those red beads? But I like how the artist did these trees. Kate became a tree hunter. She wrote letters to gardeners all over the world and asked them to send her seeds that could grow in a desert. She also traveled south into Mexico, that's our neighbor, to look for trees that liked hot, dry weather and steep hills and canyons. Not everyone knows how to hunt for trees, but Kate did. Did you know trees grew from seeds? They do. Kate knew that, thankfully. Look at this. Look at the changing landscape. Soon, Kate's trees were planted along streets, around schools, and in small parks and plazas all over town. People bought trees from Kate's nursery and planted them in their yards. And a nursery is like daycare for plants. From elms and oaks to eucalyptuses and palms. By the turn of the century, young trees from Kate's nursery were growing in every part of San Diego. Most people didn't think a desert town could sustain so many trees, but Kate did. So think about what trees in a desert would need. Not a lot of water. Then, in 1909, the city leaders announced that a great fair called the Panama California Exposition was coming to San Diego in 1915. The fair would be held in City Park, which was now called Balboa Park. Kate felt Balboa Park still needed more trees, thousands more, to look beautiful and to shade the visitors that came to the fair. Trees, trees, more trees. So there's a map of San Diego. They're saying, how can we make this more beautiful? That was too many trees for Kate to plant by herself, but she knew lots of people could do it together. She asked her friends to bring their friends and come to the park for tree planting parties. A tree planting party. Again and again, people volunteered to help. Those volunteers weren't sure they could plant enough trees, but before long, they did. Many hands make light work. Kate must have been very convincing, too. And when the fair opened, San Diego was ready. Millions of trees and plants filled Balboa Park. The fair had so many visitors, it stayed open for 2 years instead of 1. People came from near and far to see the attractions and stroll in the cool shade. Can you even believe that's the same place that she moved to? That's what I like about this story. She really changed the landscape. She literally changed the landscape. The fairgoers couldn't believe San Diego had such magnificent gardens. But thanks to Kate, it did. In the years after the fair, Kate was given many awards for her work, and people took to calling her the mother of Balboa Park. She continued gardening and planting until her death in 1940. Back then, few could have imagined that San Diego would become the lush, leafy city that it is today. I like that. My grandma and my mom and I all like to garden. We're just like Kate. But all year long, year after year, Katherine Olivia Sessions did it. Isn't that cool? I love that. They're drawings, but it is a real story. And then I will show you this. I'm not going to read all this, but if you are interested in Kate, you could pause it and read those words if you want to about her. So I'm reading you this book about the tree lady down at the beach, and I just wanted to show you that my friend Rex, this is his beach house, he and his wife Deb planted the things in their yard, and it's kind of like, it reminded me a little bit of that desert scene in San Diego, because they had to plant things at the beach that will grow, like pine trees. I've walked around and seen some live oaks, and you'll see there's not green grass in the yard. It's that, and there's a rosemary bush and a cedar. So kind of different things, kind of different plants. But it reminded me of this book, so I thought it'd be a good location. All right, I hope you enjoyed this about a real person. My first name is Katherine too, so I kind of related to her on that. And thank you for learning with Miss Roseberry. See you next time. Go hug a tree or plant one. Have a tree planting party.